Hi, good morning. Denise Dryden from Whitefish, Montana. And I was going to go outside and film today, but it's really, really cold out there. And I'm not quite ready to put all those winter clothes on and talk to you with steam coming out of my mouth just yet. So for today, I'm going to chicken out and stay right here by the fireplace and get nice and warm and talk to you about something near and dear to my heart, which is what happens when we go through a divorce and we have these hurts and these patterns that are present, and they impact us. They impact the ones we love, especially our children, and they impact our choices in the future. They impact our future relationships. So I've avoided going into this topic for years now, and I'm a little nervous because this is big. This stuff is really big. So here we go. Let's talk about children of divorce. Let's talk about patterns and our own process of going through divorce. And let's talk about what happens when we think we're ready for a new partner, when we haven't done our work yet. So, to start, when we go through some sort of a change in our relationship, what we're doing is we're modeling to ourselves, to our children, to those around us, the grace, the depth, the ease in which we take on something really significant, like ending a relationship, a parenting partnership in the cohesive home together, and learning how to do it separately. And so, I was going to say the joke is, but it's not really funny. So, the known fact is that whatever existed between us in our marriage, where we couldn't work things out, where we couldn't come to agreement, where we were separate, becomes so much more exaggerated when we're trying to do it from two separate households. The communication is difficult. The pressure to share information and to do it with an open heart is really, really hard, especially when you're hurt, especially when you're mad, especially when you're furious, or, there's a lot of things. And I wanted to also say that this is, the focus of this conversation today is about divorce, but it's also about what happens when you lose someone significant, and you're learning how to do all of this parenting stuff by yourself. So let's talk about that. So the first thing is that when we teach parents and kids in program and they come together, teenagers, and they're learning how to reconnect with their family members, we teach the drama triangle. And you can Google drama triangle if you are not familiar with it and look it up. And so the drama triangle is basically we step into one of three roles. We step into the rescuer, where we dive in and we always try to help somebody else through their problems, and we're very distracted. And part of the rescuer personality is the communication that I'm worried about you and I don't know if you know how to do this. So here I am, super mom, super girlfriend, super wife, and I'm going to make everything better. Or super employee, it goes on to a lot of different places. I've got Rachel and Kelly on the line. Thank you so much for joining me. So we have the rescuer role. And then the second role that we have is the persecutor, which is the person who gets angry or gets frustrated and points and says, what's going on here? What are we going to do about this? And, I'm getting a tissue. In some relationships, that persecutor is sort of the bad guy, the person who comes in, or the bad mom. It could be either. The tough role, the one who has to sort of come in and call it as it is and try to bring about change in a different way. And the persecutor can also be really bossy, can raise their voice, can do a lot of different things. And the third role is the victim. And the victim is that poor me, I can't do anything. And a lot of times in program we see our children step into victim roles. We see sometimes divorcees step into the victim role. And that victim energy just sort of surrounds them. And so what we have is these three, and they play off of one another. Now, the reason I brought that up is because when we have these roles that we played in the marriage and we end the marriage, they often get locked in. They get locked in and they stay with us until we're ready to address those. And when they get locked in, they do a disservice to those that we love, because we're stuck in a pattern, and we're dealing with our own. We're putting on a smiling face on the outside, and we're navigating through some really tough decisions, like who's going to take the kids on what days, how are we going to financially split our resources, who stays in the house. And all of these bring up such grief and such anger and such so many emotions. So it's cold outside. Whenever it's cold, I get a runny nose. When we lock in to this energy, what we do is we're hurt, we're triggered, we're sad, we feel abandoned, we're mad, we're angry. When this pattern locks in, it keeps us from being present. What we're doing is we're dealing with the problem of this energy, of this emotion all the time. And so it's kind of like, yes, I see you, yes, I'm here, and at the same time you're sort of unconsciously battling your own battles in the background. And the reason I wanted to talk about divorce today is that when I talk with young adults, when I talk with adolescents, they see all of that. They call it out loud. They talk about it. And I wanted to sort of invite you as parents, as adults, to recognize that when we go through divorce, we're modeling relationship. We're modeling, this is what love looks like. This is what love feels like. This is what respect looks like. This is what partnership looks like. And when we pull it apart, we have to be able to model the same thing. So if we're frozen, and if we're locked, and if we're distracted, and it's keeping us from being present, there's a battle going on over here or all over at the same time. And we think that we're covering it up and we're keeping it all together, as opposed to sort of modeling through the stages and including our children in what works and doesn't work. So I made this little interesting list, which is when we shut down, we're unavailable. When we layer ourselves, like I'm okay, and we pretend that we're going to keep the surface looking really good because the inside hurts so much, we teach our children that there are so many layers to us that they don't know who the real mom is. We're protected. When we protect ourselves and we protect our heart, we're blocked. It means nobody can get in, not even those that we love. When we cover up, when we actually, put a smile face on and we go out and we pretend like everything's okay, what we do is we're manipulating our environment. We're moving people and things around so that we feel better. When we're distracted, when we have pain, when we have phone calls, when we have lawyers, when we have disagreements, how do we deal with that? And then when we're distracted and we distract ourselves with a new relationship or a new job or a new look or a new group of friends, or we decide all of a sudden it's time to develop a nightlife, our children are looking at us like, who are you and what did you do with my mom? Or, our siblings, our friends are going, oh, it's great that you're getting out there, but what happened to Denise? What happened to the real person that used to be there? When we're angry, we're pushing down emotions all the time, and we're bubbling to the surface in reaction in places we didn't want to. And when there's sadness and grief, there's just that flat effect, and it's really hard to try to meet somebody else with a positive outlook when we have such sadness and grief. So there's one piece that I wanted to add to this whole conversation about divorce, which is if we can identify that when we hold a certain emotion in our body, we send out a vibration that is felt by our pets, it's felt by our kids, it's felt by our parents, it's felt by our friends. And so what I made was this, as you can see, it's just an absolute mess, but it's really interesting. Like parents who hate each other and pretend that they're fine in front of their children because they're not willing to address divorce. What kind of energy does that send out to a child who can see, and especially a sensitive child who can feel, So what they feel is they feel dislike. They feel one parent despise the other. And then they feel that energy of when you don't like someone and you don't respect them and you don't talk to them in polite terms. And everything in the whole house becomes this vibration of disrespect and despicability. It's really interesting when we start to look at the energy of these emotions. When parents have deep hidden hurts and cover these up in order to focus on the kids, what we see and what we feel is aloofness, detachment, distraction, secrecy. The victim and martyr energy is just running rampant because there's this mom that we see or this dad, but we also see all of these coping mechanisms happening at the same time. When our child still wants to know that you love them, first and foremost, that your remarriage or your new partnership is working so well, but your child wants to know, do I matter? I'm your first baby. You know, do you really care about me? What happens on that energy is they feel invisible. They see you, watch them when it's convenient for you, or when you really make time, but they've lost that spontaneity of what happens when you're around all the time. And so if we can just start to, and for yourself, really identify an energy or an emotion, put that emotion down and then try to imagine what that looks like when it's being broadcast out of your body to those that you love. And then the piece that I want to leave you with today is that if we understand that these emotions are real and that the way we handle our emotions, we sort of send out in a vibration around us, two things is that we model this to our kids. So it's really, really, really important that we are very aware of what we're modeling and that we're honest and we're doing our work and we're addressing each of these emotions so that we aren't broadcasting these. To pay attention to where you get stuck in roles of rescuer, persecutor, victim, and how to get off of that, which I have some great tools on how to get off of the drama triangle. And the third one is, more than anything, when we decide that we're no longer interested in being in a marriage relationship with a parent that we're co-parenting with, what happens is we turn and we start to look for, when we're ready, another partner. The problem is that if we have these emotions and they're sending out this vibration, we're going to attract someone who holds those same emotions. So as we heal or as we grow, we may still be stuck with someone who's in that place of where we were. So the example I would use is that if we hold anger and we think we're masking and capping anger, we're going to be really attracted to someone else who does the same thing because it's comfortable. Does that make sense? So these are the kind of things that I always want to explore. Coming at divorce from an energetic place, how we hold ourselves, how we understand ourselves, and how we are aware of what the ripples are that we put out there is how we change the world. It's how we change our world. It's how we change our children's world. It's how we change the global perspective right now. So I'm inviting you to pay attention to the connection between those emotions and the vibration that comes with them. So this is the kind of work that I do with my clients. We do short, strategic coaching. And if you're interested in that, by all means, give me a call. Drop me a personal message. Like this, tell me what you want to hear more of, and we'll go on from there. You can also reach me at DeniseDrydenCoaching.com on the web. And have a great Sunday. Thank you for listening to this, and I'll see you next week. Bye.